Now, make a wish. Make a wish for yourself. Anything you want, a wish. In the past, she has said to me on occasion, I'm deaf, and I say, yes, you know, and, well, I tell her I understand. I know how she feels, that, you're sad, I understand you're sad, you're left out, I know. It makes you feel badly. But, it's okay. You know, it's okay to be deaf, Denise. And I also told her it will always be this, because she said, well, maybe I won't. Oh, that was another thing, maybe I won't be deaf in such and such time, and I said...
You had explained that it would change.
No.
It's the way it is, and it wasn't going to change.
It sounds awfully stupid of me, but even in the beginning, I didn't even quite realize the fact that deafness meant being unable to speak, unable to communicate. It really didn't occur to me in the beginning. And I remember Harriet just breaking down crying and saying she won't be able to talk.
They didn't realize what a devastatingly terrible thing it is to happen to a person. Their whole future, their whole education, their whole relationship with other people was affected by this. It's horrible. And probably every bit as bad as being blind, or worse in many ways.
She was tearing the family apart. She was impossible.
She was getting into everything.
You don't know what she was like. She was so miserable.
Yeah! I want to dip my dish.
In your dish? Sure. Where else would I put it?
And I'm going to take it out.
Her unhappiness and her tantrums and her screaming and her miserableness touched everybody.
Her behavior, as far as, we couldn't...
Nobody
it was
could
difficult
cope
to teach
with
her right or wrong.
And we're very permissive and very patient, and we couldn't change and be rigid and insist on something from her, especially when I knew she didn't understand anything, so it gave me this double guilt. How can I force her when she doesn't know what I want from her? She could go into a restaurant and destroy it. I mean,
yeah.
Just go in and anywhere, in any public place, have the most horrendous
She simply didn't know how to behave.
Everybody would stare at her. An orange. Beth wants a blue?
Yeah. Here's the orange one.
Blue. What happened to your balloon?
Uncle.
You don't know?
He hasn't to.
Try again. Denise, try up on the table. Try on the table. Maybe it will work better. Oh, what happened?
I'll make him.
It went pop.
You can have the yellow one.
One more?
Let's try that one. Maybe it will work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. It was probably an experience similar to most parents. We took her to our pediatrician, and he said she's fine. She was about 8 months old. I'm sure she's fine. And if you're concerned in 6 months, well, just bring her back to me. You know, as if it was perfectly fine to just live with all that anxiety and worry. And he treated me, I felt, very, very shabbily, like a neurotic mother. Because I think regardless of what he said, that I knew there was something seriously wrong. I remember going back to him and he said, "My, was I surprised. What a surprise, profoundly deaf." He handled the whole thing very poorly.
Pediatricians, the lack of knowledge that they have on deafness and deaf children is incredible.
Appalling.
It's absolutely incredible. Pediatricians that you would otherwise have a great deal of confidence in, when you suspect something of this sort, you suspect deafness, and as parents, you pretty much are right, I would think, most of the time. And they'll tell you something, well, go clap your hands behind her when she's not looking, or maybe she'll outgrow it, go home and wait a few weeks and see what happens. They just absolutely had no background or no knowledge whatsoever in this area.
When I went in for the testing situation, I did not know what a decibel was. And even when the testing was done, he never really told us. He never explained it to us. And As much as I was able to question him, I still got no information. And I really got the feeling that they didn't want to tell me. That I was just a mother, just a parent. I did not need this information. It was not going to be forthcoming. And just leave it all to the professional.
And boy, we really needed some help then. You know, it really was terribly frustrating.
It was very difficult for her to get her point across, for her to tell us what was bothering her, what she wanted.
What we wanted to tell her.
Right, we couldn't tell her what we wanted. She was irritable a good part of the time.
Or she didn't understand.
Right.
Often.
We couldn't make her understand what the situation
well, and
was.
our intentions were well, and she never understood that we were going to supply her needs, that we understood, and we were going to supply them, but she didn't know anything, you know, she couldn't understand that. You know, we were going to help her out with whatever we understood, and she would just fly off the handle. Well, we had total communication, and she was very, very difficult. And I knew that the educational level of deaf children was very, very poor, and that, you know, we could not, even though we felt she was a bright child, and she came from a home where we could certainly give her our best, and we knew what, you know, we wanted to do for her. I knew that the hope for a good, you know, attainment, a good educational level was very poor, and it was a tremendous worry, in this, especially in this day of, you know, women taking care of themselves and her future. What would she do? We had high expectations for our children, and I worried terribly.
When we were going to go somewhere, prior to this, we couldn't really make it clear to her where we were going. We would have pictures. We used to take pictures of people or places. Whenever we would go there, we'd take pictures and Polaroid shots. And if we were going to go back, I'd have to show her the picture. Try to tell her where we were going so she would understand. After this, we didn't have to do that. With telecommunication, we just simply told her, she remembered, and she knew what we were talking about. She picked it up very fast, and she retained signs. Her retention is incredible, really. We didn't just jump into total communication. It was kind of a difficult decision. At that point, we really weren't sure that it was the best way, that sign language was good. You know, we were still on the oral side of the argument as such. And there was, what I think helped me personally to understand it was the fact that it wasn't strictly sign language. You were supposed to speak as you signed. And it was a combination of all sorts of communication.
The first thing she used was an abstract sign. It was not something concrete of a food or milk or an object. It was a sign of later. And I thought that was very, very surprising to have picked up an abstract idea as the very first sign she ever used.
Once she started signing, it was just, you know, nothing. Nothing was out of reach of discussing with her in one form or another. We could really almost make her understand anything.
Even if you had to change your language.
And this abstractness was tremendous. She just picked up on it. It was surprised me no end. I really didn't expect it.
Do you like it when that comes down to your apple? Yep. You want some?
One of my biggest concerns was how she would get along with her friends, how she'd get along with other kids. She gets along quite well with the kids in the neighborhood. But whether or not this will change as they get older, whether it'll start picking on her, teasing her, giving her a tough time, I don't know. I assume it'll happen to some extent.
It's happened already. You know, you would no more take away someone's crutches who doesn't have legs and say, go walk. And yet she's got to go out and handle those situations, and she does. When I'm not around, she plays with hearing children, and whatever level of communication they have, she handles it. She's very independent, and she has a very good self-image. I see her as a very strong child who feels secure about herself.
She's very confident.
Feels she has a good self-image. She feels healthy. She's not afraid to meet people. She's not afraid to approach people.
She's a little shy
Deaf for
occasionally, like all
hearing.
children do.
And,
But she went and bought a candy bar herself while we were on vacation this one time. I was very leery of it, and Harriet insisted that she'd do it herself. And she certainly did it. She went there and got exactly what she wanted.
she wanted money, and she said, I'll go buy it. And I
No
said to
problem
her,
whatsoever.
will you be able to talk to the lady, to tell her? And she said, I will do it.
She did.
And so I said, okay, and I gave her the money, and she wanted Cracker Jacks, and she came back with Cracker Jacks. And that was just fine. Academically, she's achieving. She's achieving at a very high level.
Sure.
And so that leads me to believe she will, you know, be able to handle college. When I talk about college, I talk about a deaf college. I don't talk about a hearing situation. I think that's unrealistic, but I certainly think that she can get a good education at a good deaf college.
Rain. Rain. My sign is rain. The mean, yes. Never saw this before. Rain. Food. Them. Need. Help them there. There. Oh, help people to live.
It took me, I'm almost embarrassed to say, you know, a good few years to really come to terms with it. And I don't know what the change was, if it was total communication or perhaps it was that. Perhaps the family was more normal and more stable. And all of a sudden it was okay. And, you know, most painful part of it had really passed. And we just kind of went about doing what had to be done. And being realistic about the situation, trying to fulfill her needs and help her. And the family function as normally as possible.
Stop. I'll try it. Good.
I don't know. This somehow. Yeah. Try that there. No, this way. Oh, good. I think that's good. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. I think the thing is, life is normal. All we do is just use a different form of communication, a different language. That's all it is.
Otherwise, it's
we use a
typical
different
family.
language as if some people spoke Russian in their home, and we're bilingual, and that's what we are. You know, we just
That's a good way to
we're a
describe it.
bilingual family, and life is normal. And so,
Perfect way to describe it, and that's exactly what the situation is there.
oh, one question she asked me, which was from a different point of view, she was, does God sign? And I thought to her, but my God, that really expresses how she feels about sign language, what it means to her.
Yeah.
And I thought that says it all. That little girl looks like you. Yes. Well, why not? Okay, we'll wait. Like that? Yeah.
I can like it.
Oh, bless us. That cute little baby.
No, but she makes
We'll
her
wait.
weird. Baby, baby. Oh, that's the one there.
We'll do one more
A lot. She
Yeah.
painted a lot
Yeah,
of
that
babies.
picture.
Yeah. Look at this.
Turn back up.
Do you like
No.
it?
No. That's enough.
Go this way.
It hurts terribly. I would, sometimes be alone. And I start thinking about it. It's in the car driving home from work or something. I start thinking about Denise. And I start crying. And I couldn't help myself. Because I think about Eileen, how Eileen was doing so well. She excelled. Everything she did was perfect. And I started thinking about Denise. I thinking, my God, what's going to happen to her? How is she going to do? And I feel very bad. I just don't have those feelings anymore. I know there's going to be difficult times. There's going to be terribly tough times.
Okay.
We know this is going to happen.
I don't feel there's anything hard that
nothing that we
handle.
can't handle at this point. I just don't feel that way anymore.
When Denise was young and before we started the total program, and one of the reasons I think we really started it was because what was important to me was to really have good communication with my child. I had always had it with my first child, and was a very verbal child and a very kind of reasonable child. And we always would chat and talk and had a nice rapport from a very early age. And that was what was important to me as a mother. And I think not having that with Denise was the most painful experience for me. It wasn't just not hearing voices, but that we did not have any kind of good communication, and that I could not see us having it. And I think that's really when the decision to go into a total situation was made.
Batman.
Oh, Batman, oh, it's my favorite program. What happened? Batman is in trouble. Look, tell me. Well, a bad man put Batman in jail. Sure, it's sleep time. It's fun. I like that.
My name is Teresa, but my name sign is Teresa, right? Teresa. Yeah. Denise. Okay, I remember. You, Mama, and I are going downstairs. Put the earphones on and listen. Yes, down. Another room. Okay? Quiet room. And put the earphones on and listen. And if you hear the sound, raise your hand for me, okay? Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Do you want to slide now? Go down the elevator? Okay. Okay. Yes, good girl, right. Do you think, maybe? In that ear? Okay, you're right. Nothing. Yeah. Good. That's good. Good, Denise. Good. Okay.
You start thinking about it, and you start recalling other things, and you begin realizing just how serious it's going to be in the future. I start thinking about her as she got older, as she dated, went out with boys, and hopefully that they would be nice fellows who wouldn't try to take advantage of her because of her deafness. And I thought about even with her with girlfriends, would they be nice to her? Would they kind of bring her into things, or would they make plans behind her back and this sort of thing? All these things started to bother me.
All the concerns for a special child.
Sure, that's right. I think I'm less worried about these things now that I know what kind of a kid Denise is. And she seems to be doing very, very well. and I'm probably a little bit less worried about all these things than I was at that time. But there's still concerns, they're still there.
One thing that really bothers me, I love music, and it's a very important part of my life. I use it to relax. I have the radio going at work when I'm working. I listen to FM. It's just very important, and I think that this kid will never really hear the music that I love so much. To be able to think of it whenever she wants to, hum, whistle, sing. She just won't be able to do this, ever. And that's one thing that still bothers me about the whole thing.
Well, I think for the family, total communication has really brought us together as a family unit.
As far as Denise is concerned, very much.
The family, all signs. Denise's older sister, Eileen, is proficient in signing. They have a good sibling relationship, as I would say, as normal as any other. They have communication. They relate to each other, and they can have good conversation. And as a family, I relate to her very well. I think we approach a normal mother-child relationship, which is of great importance to me. And Denise is a happy child, which she was not before. She's well-functioning. She's very secure. I think she's got a good self-image, and she's got good language, and is very much a part of the family. She asks for things. She demands to know. She wants to keep up with us, and I don't think she feels left out. She's not a left-out child. She doesn't sit outside of our family, as a deaf child in a hearing world. She sits very much within a family that understands her, and I think she's a good example of that.
I feel much better about it than I did then, because I see how well she's coming along, and she's really given me a lot of good feelings lately in the last couple of years. I feel much stronger about the whole thing.
There's a certain amount of peace that comes with acceptance, with reality. When you say, yes, this is it, and okay, I will do the best that I can within the situation that we have, and forget all the other things and work with what you have and do the very best you can for Denise's, good education and an emotional climate in the home that is conducive, to her individual growth and acceptance of herself and a happiness. And that is all I'm concerned about. I never think anymore of any cure or anything
at this point.
Electrical or medical situation. We take nothing for granted with Denise, and every achievement, every accomplishment we knew had been hard work, and was satisfying, would bring us a great deal of joy, a great deal of pleasure, and I think she's given us more joy than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
And perhaps if at the beginning, when it was, the picture was so bleak, I could have known that there would have been such a positive return from her. I could have, I could have saved a lot of
It would have been much easier to
painful
accept. Absolutely.
years.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We didn't know this. We only saw disaster ahead at that time. It was like no future, or no good future. And now we know it. It just isn't true. It just isn't true. This kid is going to turn out to be a perfectly normal, happy adult who just simply does not hear. And she's going to do well, and we know it.